It's the 50th anniversary of James Bond. Skyfall's in theaters this weekend. I'm Devin Faraci. This is Badass Digest. I'm here at the Mandrake Bar in Culver City, Los Angeles, with three of my best and closest friends. Matt Gourley of the Super Ego Podcast, GoSuperEgo.com.
Hi, Devin.
Allison Goertz, Cosby Sweater, 2 S's in a row. Mr. Jeremy Smith of Ain't It Cool News, who is a veteran guest on this program.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Welcome back. We have the Tipsy Bartender, YouTube celebrity mixologist who will be working with us today to get us really drunk on all different kinds of martini-like cocktails. What do we have first? What's up now?
This is actually a Vesper martini. So this was mentioned in the book Casino Royale. It's highly unusual because with martinis originally would be gin-based. That's vodka and gin in the same glass. Now, you usually find with martinis, guys either like gin or they like vodka. So what Ian Fleming did was when you put those two together, that's something really special, really unique. So it's 3 parts Gordon's gin, 1 part vodka, and a half of Kina Lillet.
All right,
Cheers, guys.
Cheers to everybody. So we're going to start off with the Vesper, and then I guess our first topic of conversation is who's the best Bond?
Daniel Craig.
Oh my God!
Connery, of course.
Bond. James Bond.
Yeah, Daniel Craig as well.
Yeah, so there's 3 Craigs right here, and 1 Connery.
You're a pilgrim in an unholy land.
I'm suddenly having to defend Sean Connery when we're talking about James Bond.
He's just so fuzzy.
He is just so Bond.
Underneath the mango tree, my honey and me.
Who is that?
The vision that we have of Bond is very much what Connery created for us.
Maybe that's why I like Daniel Craig so much, is I feel it's probably closest to the Fleming Bond. I don't know.
Well, he beats women a little bit less than the other ones, which I personally am a fan of.
Connery is like Don Draper to me. I want to have a drink with him. I want to hang out with him. If he sleeps with my girlfriend, I'm okay with it.
I have no objection.
I get it.
Makes sense.
Makes sense,
I'll
right?
let him know.
But I don't see him as a murderer. Craig looks like a murderer.
Yeah.
And he also has this broken thing inside of him that I like, where he's a murderer and he's chosen this life. He doesn't necessarily feel great about it, but he's not going to whine about it all the time either. So he just sort of has it right out there. I like that a lot.
I have no problem seeing Sean Connery as a murderer. I mean, in fact, he is so nonchalant about killing people.
I can see Daniel Craig climbing out of a guy's toilet to break his neck. You know what I mean? Like, that's like very much, that really SAS thing.
Yes,
Like,
no style points for the way that he kills anyone, but when Connery kills someone, yeah, you know, it's pretty stylish.
If I have a problem with Connery,
Yeah.
it's that he fell asleep 2/3 of the way through his tenure as Bond. And that remains to be seen. It could happen with Daniel Craig. It just hasn't happened yet. But by the time you get to You Only Live Twice and he's turning himself into a Japanese person with his posture hunched over, and then you get to Diamonds Are Forever and he's just phoning it in.
That's all there is to it.
That's such a terrible thing because he came back to the Bond franchise for the wrong movie. He should have stuck around for On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Had Connery played Bond in that film, I maintain there would be no argument that that is the best Bond film.
that's the George Lazenby, his one and only. I think he's terrible.
It's got everything going for it except for the guy who plays Bond.
I'll have to find something else to do.
Do we have another drink coming up? What's
Yes, you do.
happening?
We have an Angel Island martini.
And what's that?
This one would be vodka, and then we hit it with cream of coconut, which is an unusual mix.
Is that just suntan lotion?
It's kind of.
I sort of came of age when Moore was doing the Bond films,
Any higher, Mr. Bond, my ears will pop.
where Sean Connery makes it look effortless. Roger Moore makes it look like he's putting forth no effort at all.
You might say.
He just shows up and like walks through the scene.
But, you know, and it took them, I think, a couple of films to really figure out how to use more. Spy Who Loved Me is the one where it all kind of clicked.
It's time we said goodbye to an uninvited guest.
Live and Let Die, which is really one of my least favorite Bonds.
It's one of my favorites, but probably for the reason that it's horrible. But it's a blaxploitation film, and nothing against blaxploitation films. But why would a Bond be a blaxploitation film?
So who's the worst Bond?
Well, come on, Brosnan.
So that's what I've been doing wrong all these years.
I will take Lazenby over Brosnan.
Think we understand each other?
I would say Moore is the worst Bond.
I think objectively, I can't argue with that.
But I also, when I was a child, I loved Moonraker.
An entire city in space.
They had this film that they could shoehorn in like Star Wars stuff.
So this is the espresso martini.
There's actual espresso beans in this. Yeah. Wow. What makes a Bond girl? Because are they femme fatales or are they helpless? What is sort of the ideal?
Both. You get almost two every movie. The one that dies and the one that lives.
And sometimes
Well put.
Thrilling analysis.
Yes. You have the Bond girls who can handle themselves and are like intellectually his match. Then you've got
Dr. Christmas Jones.
Yeah.
And don't make any jokes, I've heard them all.
She is not a nuclear.
I heard Christmas only comes once a year.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, that is the worst line.
I love that that's her name, just so they can make that joke.
That's not even the worst Bond girl name. I think Holly Goodhead is the worst one, right?
Yeah,
That's a pretty bad one. And that's
Or Pussy Galore is not the best.
Pussy Galore's not the best, but that's almost classy compared to Holly Goodhead.
The
I'm not a
Galore
fan
part,
of Xenia Onatopp. I love her portrayal of that character.
Family
that
Answers.
name. Yeah, she's a highlight of that movie.
Xenia Sergeyevna Onatopp.
She is, in my opinion, like she's top 5 Bond girl.
good.
Like, yeah.
It's a good way to go. Crush between her thighs. I could do it. I could handle it. It'd be all right.
You think you've got the bizarre choices, and I don't think it gets any stranger than Grace Jones in View to a Kill.
Everything about it's disturbing because he's like 78 years old and she's like otherworldly in every possible way. She stepped out of a comic book and he is just like your grandpa.
Someone will take care of you.
Oh, you'll see to that personally, will you?
So one of the things interesting about the Bond franchise, and as a guy who's not a Bond guy, but is a nerd, and so continuity becomes sort of a concern of mine. Blofeld goes across multiple movies. There's multiple Bonds who sort of meet him. Are they all supposed to be the same guy? What's the story?
To introduce myself, I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
Well, and Blofeld was played by how many? Like four different actors?
And
Well,
the novels were done out of order, so
totally.
In On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he's already met Blofeld, so he should they should recognize each other.
Yeah, no, it's a trilogy. It's like, and that's the middle of the trilogy.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet they play it as almost like the end of that.
And how many 100 millions do you want for your services this time, Blofeld? This time? This time the price is of another kind. You'll be even more amused when you know what.
This is called a Cosmocello.
Is this our fourth one?
I don't know.
Yes.
This is our fourth, yes.
Allison, are you at all even tipsy?
No.
Because the dudes here are like really kind of feeling it, and
I think that's just their enthusiasm for James Bond, really.
so we know who's the best Bond. It's Daniel Craig. I mean, we really have decided.
No,
Jeremy
it isn't. And you know what? And I'm glad you're bringing that back because I felt like I kind of felt like Obama at the first debate when you guys all pulled that on me. Like I thought that we would be doing the Connery thing.
I'm sorry to let you
And so
down.
I really wasn't ready for my talking points, and I don't know if I eloquently made the point.
Let's do it. Let's do it now.
I think the thing that is really great about Connery is that he was that 60s man of the Kennedy era. Connery he represents a new kind of man, a stylish, guy who can a romantic in his way, but also a guy who is not afraid to do what is necessary.
Before the Daniel Craig era, I would have said for sure Sean Connery. Now I do feel like because of a reboot and a move into a different era, it is Daniel Craig. So for me, it just barely goes Daniel Craig, Sean Connery, Roger Moore for nostalgic reasons, Timothy Dalton, Lazenby. Then I'm going to put Shatner in there, who's not even a Bond, because that's how much I'm not a fan of the Brosnan era. I'm going to add a Bond.
You're going to put like Captain Kirk right in the middle of that.
I'm going to put Captain Hook in there.
I'm actually really surprised that you chose Daniel Craig. Like, I was sure that you would say Sean Connery. Like, I feel like there's a right answer.
A lot of people say that about me.
And it's Sean Connery. I feel like that's what people want you to say, and that they'll get a little touchy if you don't say. And as someone that actually likes the James Bond movies, I'm surprised that you say Daniel Craig.
I hear that a lot, and I'll be the first to say that some of my favorite Bond movies are some of the general consensus worst Bond movies. I love.
Well, they're fun. They're fun to watch and fun to laugh at.
I really like Live and Let Die. I really like View to a Kill, and that's one that there's no cameras on us right now, right?
No, not at all. Okay. Not at all.
That movie's horrible, and I love it.
Okay,
Are we
so,
taking a break?
No, we have another amazing looking drink. What do we have here?
Okay, this is a cake batter martini.
What? Of course.
Come on.
What kind of maniac are you?
So
let me ask you a question. Would James Bond be caught dead
No,
drinking
never,
a cake batter
absolutely
martini?
not.
no.
Let's be very clear. We're drinking a Roger Moore drink right now.
Oh, this is totally Roger Moore. That's what.
This is the Moonraker.
Moonraker of martinis.
Absolutely, it is. Oh, wow.
They all kind of stuck together.
I'm really
It was fun.
re-entry right now.
We should talk about the hugely important 2 film arc.
Yeah, if you could take over the show now because I have no idea anymore. I'm out. Like I'm really drunk.
I'm sorry.
So. No, I know. I'm glad. I'm seriously. I'm glad because I'm.
The very important 2 film arc of Jaws.
And guess who's dropped in for a bite?
For some reason, it was an important character.
That
because
really hit a nerve with people. Yeah.
Well, because they called him Jaws, and it was after
the
success of Jaws, Spielberg, which coincidentally Spielberg might have directed Spy Who Loved Me.
So Spielberg really wanted to do a Bond film, and he kind of did. I mean, he took the idea of Bond and sort of, with George Lucas, morphed it into Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is the American James Bond.
Experience the ultimate adventure like never before.
It works out so much better because he didn't have the constraints. He didn't have producers who had a certain degree of control over the material. Spielberg would not have worked well under those circumstances.
God, I'd love to see it though. What would it be?
Oh, I would love to see a Spielberg Bond. I mean, and we see within Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of what that would be. Yeah. But I would like to know from Spielberg whether or not he would have kept all of the Q, if he would have stuck to the structure. Because I think that Spielberg would have maybe wanted to make it his
own.
and
Do
kind
you
of
think so, or do you think he wouldn't have?
I think he would have been
joy is to play
loyal.
with the structure.
There would have been a kid in it. That's the problem.
There absolutely
Maybe
would
there
have been.
Bond would have most likely had it.
Well, here's the thing: is
or
that
there would have
something,
been a flashback.
something would have crashed to Earth. A little kid would have found it.
Yeah.
A highly advanced alien would have come out. The alien's name, Q.
Yeah.
Who gives the kid, whose name is James Bond, a series of gadgets.
And at some point there would have been no more parachutes.
See, now, if Tarantino did a Bond, it would be fetishistically to the structure. It would be the ultimate Bond movie.
Yeah.
It would be, he'd hit every single thing you want him to hit.
But I do think that bringing Mendes in, a guy who has a very particular style and who's known as somewhat of a perfectionist.
It's really good.
It is. It's a very good
It's
movie.
really good. I'm not a Mendes fan. It's really good.
But Mendes...
You got so De Niro just now. Can I just say that? You just said this. You said, it's really good. I'm not a fan, but it's really good. You honestly did that.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he did not.
In my eyes, which connect to my brain.
I think that might have been racist. I think that might have been racist. As an Italian, I find that highly racist.
Bring it over!
The traditional Bond film, the original Bond film, calls for the traditional martini, I think. So, do we have that, just the traditional martini?
A traditional martini would be gin, okay? What I'm about to make is a vodka martini, which is a kind of a twist on that, which most people drink now. But like I told you in the beginning, James Bond was unique because the Vesper is a mixture of vodka and gin, which is highly unusual.
We haven't touched on gadgets, which is sort of the other, really the key ingredient of a Bond film.
Does this still work?
Q, with his gadgets, the more ridiculous they were, the more fun they were.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how they weren't even applicable.
What's the most ridiculous cube?
Well, I love the ticker tape.
I do too, but it's hilarious that it's not digital. It's that it actually prints he has a printer on his wrist, which even at that time would be easier to have a digital readout.
When you were young, that was a highlight of those movies.
Yeah.
I think another really hugely important facet of the Bond movies is the set pieces. And each movie has its great set piece. But I guess for you, what's the greatest set piece?
There's the objective and the subjective. So objective to me is the opening of Spy Who Loved Me. It's not even one of my favorite films, but that ski off the glacier.
It's so cool, right?
It's so cool. Amazing.
And it's practical. And that's the thing about the early Bond films is that as stupid or as corny as they get, those stunts are practical. And that's more exciting than any number of guys standing in front of a green screen and jumping.
That parkour sequence in Casino Royale is amazing.
Oh, I know. he's the guy who goes, all right, let's go.
He's
and
a
he doesn't
psychopath.
quite make it. Right.
He is, absolutely.
He's handsome.
Isn't he? Those
His blue eyes.
Those
Absolutely,
cerulean
just
blue eyes.
stunning.
And
That's
he has-
the reason we all like
He
Daniel
just
Craig
has those
best.
rough features, and I feel like he could hold me down and have his way with me, and I'd be all
I
right.
like ladies, but if I had to
That's
choose
on
a
record.
man, Daniel Craig,
Daniel Craig, all
Well,
the
you're choosing,
way.
he's a man.
Yes.
That's the thing. He's a man. 50 years of James Bond, he smoked thousands of cigarettes, downed hundreds of drinks, bedded hundreds of women.
Downed hundreds of women.
Do you think James Bond goes down on girls?
Absolutely. Well, actually, no. They would enjoy it more.
This is
than
a
he
good question.
would.
Does
So he
James
actually
Bond go
gets
down on girls?
more
It
than
begins
he's
with
getting
Lazenby.
down.
He goes down on Ruby.
I don't think he would ever do anything for women if it,
It
was
depends
just
on the
for the
bond.
woman.
It depends on the bond. And I think we are saying which
Please
bond
do.
goes down on
Which Bond goes down on women, yes.
Connery doesn't.
No, there's not a chance.
Absolutely
Lazenby
does
does.
not. I agree.
Roger Moore
well, he
does
looks like
not.
He's got the glasses. He's got the
Dalton
Sherlock
does.
Holmes look. He
Pierce
does.
Brosnan does, but it's like, I gotta go to the
But he's
restroom and
not very
floss my
good.
teeth.
Exactly.
And then Daniel Craig, are you kidding?
Absolutely
I think
not.
if Dalton,
Absolutely
I think if Dalton does,
He's
I think
munching.
It's,
I mean, he is.
No,
he
Craig
is
is
down
whole-
like
he puts
all
on-
day long.
He puts on a bib.
No, Craig is happy.
yeah.
Craig,
Oh, yeah.
So guys, I'm so glad that you came here and essentially ruined your Saturday by getting drunk at noon with me. First, thanks to the Tipsy Bartender, who has rendered all of us incapable of driving home.
Thank you.
With this amazing series of cocktails. Where can we find your videos?
YouTube.com/tipsybartender.
Tipsy Bartender.
To Jeremy Smith from Ain't It Cool News, who is a Bond expert and a good friend of mine. To Allison Goertz, who is here to share my Bond disinterest and who is singing, but may one day sing a song about Bond on YouTube.
Let's see how well Skyfall goes over for me.
Cosby Sweater. And Matt Gourley, who I had to drink his last 2 drinks, from Super Ego. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And
It was
people
my
you didn't
pleasure.
even know who we were, and you came here and got loaded with us.
I couldn't be happier.
And argued about Bond. So thank you very much. Skyfall is in theaters this weekend. I liked it a lot. I'm not a Bond guy, and this is a movie that made me want to kind of go back and really get into the old Bond stuff. It's a terrific film. Go see it. But come back here again next week. I'm going to be someplace different, talking about something totally different, drinking probably very different things, being just as stupid. My name is Devin Faraci, and this is Badass Digest. Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, they all walked on them. This is the home of some of the greatest horror movies ever made.